Life is short. Then what's the purpose of living? Buddhist answer: the question beneath all questions. Why ask at all? Sometimes the question comes quietly, not with drama, not with a big event. Just in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. You're sitting there, maybe on a bus, or folding laundry, and suddenly the thought arrives: what is all this for? What's the point of my life? Other times it comes after a big moment, a success you worked hard for, or the end of something dear, and in the silence afterward, something deeper begins to stir, a kind of whisper beneath the noise. You don't always tell others about it. This question feels too big, too quiet, too personal, but it lingers. Not because you need a quick answer, but because something inside you has begun to wake up. Most people think the question, what's the meaning of life, is something to solve, like a puzzle. But maybe that's not what matters. Maybe the real mystery is, why did this question find you at all? In Buddhism, this is not a problem, it's a sign, a rare and precious one. It means something in your mind no longer accepts surface answers like just be happy or do your best. You've outgrown those, and that's not a crisis. That's the beginning of true seeing. There's an old story in the Buddhist texts. It says that being born as a human is as rare as this. A blind turtle lives at the bottom of the ocean. Once every 100 years it surfaces. Floating on the sea is a wooden ring. The chance that the turtle's head rises through that ring is the chance of being born a human being. This isn't meant to pressure you. It's not a guilt story. It simply means this life is rare, not because it's perfect, but because you are able to ask this kind of question. That's the rare part. Albert Camus, the French philosopher, said, "The most serious question in life is whether it has any meaning at all." He called it the absurd. The strange feeling of seeking meaning in a world that offers only silence. For him, courage was not to run from that silence, but to face it, to live with it. Buddhism agrees with one important difference. It doesn't see that silence as cold or empty. It sees it as space, a wide open space for awareness, and in that space, something new can begin to grow. So if you're asking this question, what's the point? Don't rush to find the answer. The question itself is already powerful. It means you've started to look beyond comfort and surface goals. That's the beginning of wisdom. And maybe, just maybe, this life, this short, fragile life, isn't about finding the meaning. Maybe it's about waking up enough to ask. That already changes everything. The endless cycle, but every time we catch it, it slips away again. Then we chase harder, and the cycle repeats. Most people live between two extremes, reaching for what feels good, success, love, recognition, and pushing away what feels bad, fear, shame, loss. But even when you get what you want, it never seems to last. The joy softens, a new craving appears. Psychology calls this the hedonic treadmill. You run and run, but stay in the same place. This isn't just about wealth or fame. A rich person and a poor person can both be trapped in this loop. The things they chase may differ, but the restlessness is the same. That constant urge to fix, to escape, to want more. In Buddhism, this is called dukkha. It's often translated as suffering, but it's deeper than just pain. It's the quiet unease that lingers, even when nothing is obviously wrong, like an itch you can't quite reach. The Buddha didn't say happiness is bad, he understood it well. But he saw that clinging to happiness, trying to make it stay, creates tension, and resisting sorrow only feeds it. So both chasing and running are part of the same trap. You may have felt this, achieving something, but the joy fades quickly. Or distracting yourself from sadness, only to feel it return once the distraction ends. It's not your fault. It's just the way the cycle works. And it feels endless because we keep looking in the wrong direction. We think if we just fix the outside, change the job, the partner, the inside will follow. But the Buddha taught that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from understanding. This cycle is a misunderstanding. We think happiness can be owned and sorrow can be avoided, but both are passing waves. What hurts is not their presence, but our grasping and resisting. Waking up to this isn't easy, but when you begin to notice the pattern, without chasing, without fleeing, something softens. And in that softening, there's a stillness, a quiet that doesn't depend on getting or avoiding, just on being aware. That stillness is already here. Not in another world or another version of you, but right now, just beneath the noise. You don't have to destroy your desires. Just notice how often they spin the wheel. And with gentle awareness, the cycle begins to loosen its grip. Not because you won, but because you saw. There was never anything to win. The ripple of our actions. Why death isn't an escape. When people feel stuck in life, they often say something like, "Maybe it will all end when I die." They don't always mean it literally, but there's a quiet wish hidden underneath. That when death comes, all the confusion, pain, and pressure will finally stop. Everything we do, say, and even think creates a ripple. Like a stone dropped into a still lake. The water may look calm after a while, but the ripples keep spreading long after the splash. This is what Buddhism calls karma. It's not punishment or reward. It's not some outside God watching and judging. It's cause and effect. Just as fire burns and water flows, actions bring results. If you speak with kindness, you shape your mind to be more open. If you act with hatred, your heart grows harder. These ripples don't always show up right away, but they shape your future, not just in this life, but beyond it. In a way, this is not so different from physics. Newton's third law says, "For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction." In Buddhism, we don't apply this just to the physical world. We see it inside the mind. Every intention, even small ones, carries energy. And that energy keeps moving. Not because someone sends it somewhere, but because the mind itself is a process, always moving, always becoming. So what happens when the body dies? Many religions speak of a soul, something fixed, eternal, untouched by change. Some say this soul goes to heaven or hell, depending on how it lived. But Buddhism looks at things differently. It says, there is no fixed soul, no unchanging me hiding somewhere behind the skin. Instead, there is a stream of consciousness, a process of knowing and reacting, shaped by habits, shaped by karma. And when this body ends, that stream doesn't vanish, it continues. Not as you, but as the results of what you have done, felt, and believed. It's like lighting one candle from another. The flame continues, but it's not the same flame. It's not a copy. It's not a new thing either. It's a continuation. That's what rebirth means. Not someone coming back, but a process flowing forward. With no solid self, but with clear effects. This might sound strange, but it's actually very close to how nature works. Seeds fall from trees. The tree is gone, but the seed carries its pattern. A storm passes, but its effects remain in the soil. In the same way, our lives continue, not because there is someone to carry them, but because causes give rise to new results. So death isn't freedom if we haven't understood life. The fear of death isn't just about the unknown. It's about a deep sense that something is unresolved, that we haven't touched the truth of who we are, that we've lived chasing shadows. And we worry, maybe without knowing it, that if we die like this, the ripple will continue, and the confusion will go with it. But this isn't a story of fear, it's a reminder of power. Because if every action has a ripple, then every moment has meaning, every choice has weight, and that means we're not stuck. We're not trapped by fate or punished by a god. We are simply facing the effects of past actions and creating new ones right now. You don't need to believe in many lives to feel the truth of this. Just look at how your words affect someone, how a habit, repeated daily, shapes your future, how one kind gesture can open a new path. This is karma in real time, not magic, just reality. The Buddha never told people to be afraid of death. He told them to understand it, and to see that death is only scary when we haven't looked deeply at life. When we do, we see that the point is not to escape the cycle, but to stop feeding it, to stop throwing stones into the lake, to live in a way that no longer creates suffering, for ourselves or for others. When that happens, even death loses its bite, not because it disappears, but because there's nothing left to fear. The ripples have stilled, the mind is at peace, and what continues from there is no longer confusion but clarity. The middle path, walking through life, not around it. We spend so much of life trying to fix things, to remove discomfort, to hold on to joy, to make sure nothing goes wrong. We make plans, set goals, chase ideals. But what if peace doesn't come from fixing life? What if it comes from seeing it clearly and walking through it with balance? After seeing how craving and fear create endless cycles and how even death doesn't break the chain, something inside us shifts. We stop trying to escape life and start asking a deeper question. How can I live in a way that no longer adds more confusion and suffering? That's when the Buddha pointed towards something radical in its simplicity. The middle path. This doesn't mean being bland or avoiding passion. It means walking with steadiness, not pulled by desire, not pushed by fear, not falling into indulgence, and not collapsing into denial. It's the path between extremes, where wisdom has space to grow. Many imagine the spiritual path as something far from ordinary life. But the Buddha's middle path was never about escaping the world. It was about living in the world with clarity. Whether you're a parent, a student, a farmer, or a worker, this path speaks to you. It invites you to live with care, not to be perfect, but to be awake to how your actions affect yourself and others. At its heart, the middle path is deeply ethical. It asks us to look at what we feed with our attention, our speech, our choices. Are we adding more fear, more greed, more division? Or are we choosing kindness, honesty, and responsibility, even when it's hard? This kind of balance isn't cold or mechanical. It's deeply human. It means allowing joy without clinging, facing pain without collapsing. It means choosing a path that may look quiet from the outside, but inside it's filled with strength. The Buddha compared it to tuning a stringed instrument. Too tight and it breaks, too loose and it won't play. But just enough tension, just enough mindfulness, just enough effort, and something beautiful begins to resonate. This is not a way of avoiding life, it's a way of walking through it. Eyes open, heart steady, grounded in what matters most. And maybe, over time, this balanced way of living becomes second nature. You don't have to fight your way through life anymore. You just walk it. Not with fear, not with force, but with a quiet kind of wisdom that carries you, no matter what the road looks like. The point is presence. Living the answer in this moment. After all the seeking, all the running, we return to the question we began with. What's the point? And maybe now, something has shifted. We no longer ask it like a demand. We don't expect the universe to hand us a clear answer, wrapped in certainty. Instead, we begin to sense. The point isn't a destination, it's how we travel. In Buddhism, the word sati, often translated as mindfulness, carries a deeper meaning, remembrance. Not just remembering to breathe or to focus, but remembering what truly matters. Remembering that this moment is your life, not tomorrow, not after success, not after healing, right now. To live with presence doesn't mean slowing down to take deep breaths all day. It means being intimate with your own existence. It means daring to feel your life fully, the joy and the ache, the clarity and the fog, without needing it to be anything else. In Taoist thought, there is a concept called wu-wei, often misunderstood as doing nothing, but it actually points to a way of being so deeply attuned to reality that your actions arise naturally, without resistance. Like a tree growing or a river flowing, nothing forced, nothing held back, just full participation in what is. Presence, then, is not an escape. It's the deepest form of engagement. It asks, can you be here without needing to control what comes next? Can you feel pain without closing your heart? Can you feel joy without grasping it like a possession? Because real presence is not a performance. It's not spiritual behavior. It's how a person listens with their whole being. It's how someone holds another's grief without needing to fix it. It's how you wash a dish as if the universe were right there in the water. This isn't some mystical state only reached by monks or saints. It's as close as your next breath. It's in the moment you notice sunlight on the floor and realize you're alive, and that's no small thing. When we live like this, meaning is no longer something we chase. It's something that quietly blooms in the way we speak, in the way we care, in the way we pause before reacting. The Buddha didn't promise answers. He offered a path. And what the path reveals, step by step, breath by breath, is that the point is not to conquer life, or fix it, or figure it all out. The point is to stop being at war with it, to stop being absent from it. And when you live like that, gently, fully, honestly, meaning begins to emerge, not as an idea, but as a presence, a way of being that touches everything you do. This short life doesn't need to be perfect to be profound. It only needs to be real. And presence, true presence, is what makes it real.